Welcome to the video. This video is about gross domestic product. It is the total value of everything that is produced in a country in a specific amount of time. The topic is easy peasy. Just keep watching. This video is brought to you by me. Now let's continue the video. Once again, it is the total value of everything produced in a country in a specific amount of time. Let us break the statement down a little bit. There is not a lot to break here. The word value in here means monetary value. Some people like to say market value, and the word produce indicates the produced goods and services, and it also indicates the finished goods. And the specific amount of time in here is usually 1 year. What did your entire country earn in the last year? It is a good measure to get a good idea about the overall economy of a country. Now, how do you really find out everything that has been produced in the country in the entire year? Sounds like a tough job, doesn't it? Nope, I already said it. It's easy peasy. It can be calculated through 3 approaches. These are the 3 approaches. I'll talk about the production approach first. In this approach, you have to add everything in the economic output and deduct the cost of the things that were needed to produce these things. After that, you have the expenditure approach. In this approach, you have to add everything that everyone has spent in the year. Pretty straightforward. You add everyone's expenditure over the entire course of the year. And lastly, you have the income approach. You have to add everything every factors of production has earned in the year. What are the factors of production? They are land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Some people like to say enterprise instead of entrepreneurship. I don't have a video with elaborate discussions about these things. Well, I'll do that in the future. I already have a long list of videos that will be made in the future, and the list is getting bigger and bigger. But if you comment below with your request on a topic, I will make sure to prioritize that topic. Otherwise, I already have a long list of what I am going to make over the year. Now, I'm going to talk about how to calculate GDP using the expenditure approach. That is because the expenditure approach is the easiest, and this approach is used by a lot of countries, including USA. I already said that you have to count everything everyone has spent over the course of the given year. There are only 4 items here: consumption, government spending, investment, and net exports. Consumption is the private consumption. Everything the people have spent their money on. Doesn't matter if you are spending on groceries or buying a car, it will be recorded. The government also spends a lot of money in a lot of sources. Sources like infrastructure, government loan, payroll. Businesses need to invest in themselves to improve. They have to buy heavy machineries, factories, they have to pay their employees. All of these are going to be the investments. Lastly, we have the net exports. Net exports simply means the exports minus the imports. So the formula will look something like this: C plus G plus I plus NX. And if you modify this just a little bit, you get C plus G plus I plus X minus M. Export minus import, that will make the net exports. And one more thing I need to talk about here. The product in the name gross domestic product means finished goods, the final product. So if you're making a chair, only the cost of the chair is going to be included, not the cost of the wood. That is mostly because the cost of the wood is added in the total cost of the chair. Some other things you need to know about gross domestic products. First of all, nominal GDP. Nominal GDP means whatever the GDP is at current market price. Real GDP is the inflation adjusted GDP. You also need to know about inflation. The main concept behind inflation is that a certain amount of money does not carry the same weight over time. You also need to know about GDP per capita. That is, the GDP per person of the country. The thing is, two different countries can have the same amount of GDP. But if one country has the population of 1 million people and another country has the population of 1 billion people, these countries are not going to be the same. If 1 million people are spending $1 billion and 1 billion people are spending $1 billion, they definitely do not have the same quality of life. And that is where we come to the criticisms of the GDP system. Some people think of it generally. They think that higher GDP means the people have better quality of life. That is not always the case. I just stated the example. Some people also say that limiting the calculation to the national border does not do justice to the overall measurement of the entire country. And there are unofficial income sources that are not taken into account when counting the GDP of a country. See, that was really easy, wasn't it? Sounds like a stupid catchphrase. Anyway, if you still have any questions, you can ask below. And obviously, thank you very much for watching. I still have the bonus content left. And for bonus, I would list out the top 20 countries based on their GDP. The data is from IMF and this data is from October 2019. Keep in mind, all of the amounts I am going to talk about is the nominal GDP. There are other factors as well to really know about the entire economic system of a country. And obviously, I will have the link of the source in the description below. So, at number 20, we have Switzerland with $715 billion. Number 19, we have Turkey with $743 billion. 18, Saudi Arabia, $779 billion. 17, Netherlands, $902 billion. And in 16, we cross the trillion line. In 16, we have Indonesia with $1.11 trillion. For 15, we have Mexico or Mexico with $1.22 trillion. 14 is Australia with $1.38 trillion. 13 is Spain with $1.4 trillion. Number 12 is South Korea, $1.63 trillion. 11 is Russia, $1.64 trillion. Really close. 10 is Canada, $1.73 trillion. 9 is Brazil, $1.85 trillion. 8, Italy, $1.99 trillion. 7, France, $2.71 trillion. 6, UK, United Kingdom, $2.83 trillion. 5, India with $2.94 trillion. Now we will move on to the top 4. And you will see the disparaging differences between the top 4 countries and the bottom 16 countries. I'm not even going to talk about the countries behind top 20. You can see that number 12 and 11 has $0.01 trillion difference. But the top 4 are not like that. The differences are much higher than these. Number 4 is Germany with $3.86 trillion. Number 3 is Japan with $5.15 trillion. I think you already know what the top 2 is going to be. Number 2 is China, $14.14 trillion. And number 1 is United States. It is $21.44 trillion. The difference, man, the difference. It's like a high school track race. There are kids fighting for the 11th and 12th place, and the top 3 are out of everyone's sight. No one can even see them. For someone to catch up to the top 3, they might need to train for 50 years or so. Or they can surpass the top 3 if the person at the top trips and falls. It's not a good thing to say, but sometimes the person falling behind actually hopes that the person in the first place trips and falls. That's a racing analogy. Yeah, that happens in racing only, doesn't it? Maybe I'm talking too much. This is the official end of this video. Thank you all for sticking around till the end. Another reminder that you can support me directly on Patreon. That will help the channel a lot. But if you don't want to do that, like, comment, subscribe, share also helps out. And lastly, I really hope you learned something new today. Goodbye for now.